I've got a riddle for you. What's worse than sitting through a financial presentation? Answer: sitting through a financial presentation from a bad presenter. But okay, not funny, but true. The problem is that most financial people, even some of the best CEOs, CPAs, bookkeepers, financial investors, and more, are rarely taught how to make the material clear, interesting, and concise. And that's a shame because A, it totally can be. And B, the people who do it really shine. I'm Milo Shapiro, and since 2004, I've been showing people how to feel and look prepared, polished, and powerful whenever and wherever they speak, whether it's live or in Zoom environments. And I want to share with you some ideas today around how coaching can be beneficial to people in improving those skills. And I'm also going to throw in a tip of the day. So let's start with this. Why coaching instead of the traditional classes or ToastMasters? So let's talk about classes first. Let's say you're not even in a very big class, maybe 20 people. That means at most you're getting 5% of the teacher's attention. Not so great. And then if the teacher talks for a while, that 5% starts going down. Toastmasters is a wonderful organization if you don't mind the fact that it's going to take you a really long time to get better. You're only going to speak every fifth or sixth week, and you're going to get feedback from people who may have joined the club after you did, as compared to from someone who's professionally trained to give you feedback. By contrast, coaching is all about you. And every moment we spend in the hours together is about taking you from where you are and getting you to the next place that you need to be. Now, do I have a patented formula that I take everybody through? No. And if you ever find someone who's got that, run. And here's why. If I had a patented formula for everybody, it wouldn't take into account that people have different needs. If I get a call from Doug, and Doug's situation is he's lively and fun and interesting, but he never makes a point. He's all over the place and repeating himself. Or the next day I get a call from Cindy, and Cindy is very organized, very tight, and so dull to listen to that nobody's catching what she says. Why would you think they needed to be in the same class or same program? They have different needs. And that's just two examples. With coaching, it's all about you. It's why we start with an assessment where we figure out exactly where you're at, what you know, what misconceptions you might have, where you need to be headed, what your goals are, and then we help you to get there. Very different experience. All right, so I'm going to take on a couple of the things that I get asked a lot by financial people and see if this might be helpful for you, including that bonus point. So what is it really doing to help financial folks? I want to share 3 examples of people in finances that I was able to help get them where they wanted to be. First, it was Max, who's a financial investor, who said that people were glazing over at parts of his programs and he didn't think he was connecting. So I stopped him at one point. I said, "You caught me in a glaze over right now. Heard nothing you just said." He said, "Why? This is an important graph I'm showing you." I said, "Exactly. That graph is overwhelming. It's got too much going on in it." So this is what we did. We took his graph and broke it into 4 graphs that built up one at a time to the important one. And as he explained each of the steps, I was with him. And then when we got to the 4th one, it made total sense. So instead of my mind tuning out to figure out the graph, I kept listening to him. A small thing that he said made a real difference with his clients. Then there was Gloria, the CFO, who called me up and said, "I don't care if I'm ever good again on November 9th, but on November 8th, I am speaking to 500 CFOs. It's got to be a great speech. I've got to be amazing giving it." So instead of working on making her a better speaker in general, we focused on that speech and then making her good for parts of it. When to open up, when to use her face, body, and voice differently, when to move on the stage to create different areas. We actually made 3 sections of the stage represent 3 different aspects of nursing. Made such a difference, and she really did, as she put it, kick butt on that speech. And then there's Lupe, who was a VP of accounting for a tech firm, whose boss told her, the president said, "You're getting some help. Find a coach." We worked together, made small progresses, but one day I tried to push her past her comfort zone, and she said, "If I do that, I'm going to look crazy. That's not going to work." I'm like, "It's not going to look crazy. It's just going to feel crazy inside because you're not used to it." She said, "I am blaming you if they look at me afterwards and say, 'What did you just do? What just happened?'" I said, "I'll take that risk because the president knows who I am." through her. And she did it, and she was prepared for them to say, "Are you okay? Are you insane?" And when she finished the presentation, the president looked at her and said, "Good," and went on to the next topic. And she thought, "Good, that's it? I look like a clown." I said, "No, you didn't look like a clown. You just felt like one. You looked good." And as the CEO left the room, the president stopped behind him and looked back and said, "By the way, Lupe, good job today. Whatever you're doing with that coach, keep it up." So 3 different examples of taking people where they want to be while talking about financials and getting the point across better than ever. Does coaching really work on Zoom? I'm asked sometimes. And the answer is yes, better than ever. I'm loving working in the remote setting. And here's why. Not only can I edit your text on the fly by putting it on the screen and then sending it right back to you, or pull out PowerPoint modules that I've created now to teach certain things instead of just saying them. The big thing is this. If I can get you to be good on Zoom, it's a really small step to being good in front of a group of people. But if you're good in front of a group of people, it doesn't necessarily translate back to Zoom. So if we do all the training here, you've got both bases covered, because so much is going on over here in Zoom land these days. All right, last, what is it that people say about having a phobia of speaking? How do I deal with the phobia? And I deal with it by first saying, I don't think there is, for most people, a phobia of speaking. I think for most people, it's merely a natural reaction from being asked to do something you have not been taught to do. There's this horrible misconception that if you know your topic and you know English, you should be prepared to speak. And there's like 15 to 20 other things in the middle that none of us get, or most of us don't. And the people who are seen as talented speakers are the people who just intuit those 15 to 20 things. So the rest of us just have to learn them, and it's learnable. And so the fear goes away, not from tackling the fear, but by showing you how to be a better speaker. And week by week, when I say, yes, that's it. Did it feel better? Yeah, I bet it did. Great. But page 2 is not doing it yet. We need to look at page 2, because I have to be honest with you. When you're not there yet, or you're not going to believe me when I say, yes, that's it. And what happens is the more yeses you hear, the more the fear goes down as you build your confidence and start to think, I can do this. This is not magic. I can handle this. And it turns into excitement to get out and try it instead of fear of doing it. We knock out the anxiety by just using those little butterflies that are left at the end to come across as energy. So how does coaching work? The first appointment, I said we do an assessment, and then I teach something called the 4 steps to successful speech structure. It's a fundamental of everything that I do. And so no more looking at that blank Microsoft Word or Microsoft PowerPoint screen going, how do I start? You work the 4 steps. And not only is it easier for you, it's a program that holds the audience better when you're done. If you continue with coaching with me after that, which I hope you do, then you have homework assignments, you practice writing and performing something, you come back, I give you feedback, and we take on a topic of the week. And like Doug and Cindy in my example, those topics will vary, but they're likely going to cover things like the right balance of stories and data, using your face, body, and voice more effectively, something I call the 7 variants of vocal variety, because it's not just all about pitch, although pitch is important, and other things that we're going to cover over time to get you to your goals. So I said I was going to give you a tip for listening to all this, and here is a myth I want to bust. Get away from the mirror. Rehearsing in front of a mirror was a tradition for a long time, and it works in almost no one's favor. And here's why. The idea behind it is that if you can see what you look like doing it, you'll know how you look that day. Here's why it doesn't work. The day you're giving a presentation, no one is going to be standing in front of you, mimicking every movement you make only 3 feet away from you. Completely unnatural. Plus, every time you do something that you don't necessarily love, it's going to draw your attention. And instead of thinking about your program, you're thinking about that. So you don't give your program as well. And then you think you weren't doing so well. So instead, do it to a big open room. I prefer to speak to my entire living room, imagining there's some people there when I'm practicing. And if you really think you need to know how you look, videotape yourself and play it back when it's done. So that's my tip of the day for you. There's so many things bigger than that to learn to help you get where you want to go. And I want you to be there, because finances should be interesting when done right. Hope to hear from you. Oh, and how to hear from you? publicdynamics.com. Fill out the little form there, and I'll look forward to getting back to you. Thanks for listening.